everybody.
Hello.
It is Monday, it is Memorial Day, and you are sitting here with INNERMIX,
Yuppers. This is Jules.
and I'm Simply D. And you now you have us for a glorious hour and a half to
90
2 hours,
minutes.
depending on how this goes. Um, and wait till you guys find out what's happening tonight, because it's going to be kind of interesting. We put the topic up as open for discussion, but which it is, but this got a little spin on it. Usually, before open for discussion, I go through all the questions and I look to see kind of what is just not doesn't make sense for us to answer, or questions that have been asked so many times that you guys will already know the answer. But I was reading a couple articles, and a couple of you guys, sent in some stuff from other shows that you subscribe to, and you wanted us to attempt something like one of the shows. I can't remember the name of the show right now. I'm so sorry, but they called their title of their show was called 100, where they go keep it real, keep it 100 all the way through the show, right?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, I'm sorry, dear. It means that you're just not going to worry about being politically correct. You're not going to try to worry about people's feelings and all that good stuff. Unless it's unless it's it just makes sense to be sensitive. After talking to our Yahoo group, everybody, because that's actually where we found out. Found out about it. It was like I was like, that's interesting, because everybody's been asking lately to learn more about how we see the world and how we deal with things in our own personal space and things like that. So, so I said, okay, let's do something. I said, here's what we're going to do. So open for discussion primarily is when we go through and answer fan mail from, the last, usually the last 4 weeks. Lately, because of how long this series on stress and relationships is going, we still get, we have questions that we look at probably as far back as February or something like that. But then when we shut down, when we started, doing some things business-wise, we had lost a good bulk of those emails. You guys sent in some new ones, and but we just basically, I'm saying all that to say, this time I have no idea what the questions are. I don't know. You guys basically set the rules up for how you wanted this show to pretty much go, and the questions are all coming from, so that you guys understand, all the questions are coming from our Yahoo group, because because that's who primarily helps us do a lot of the research and answer a lot of the questions, and it gets the theme of the week out into the marketplace. It's not usually on Facebook. Facebook is like our home, where you can just hang out and see what's coming up, and you might see 1 or 2 posts a week on Facebook. You might see 1 or 2 posts a week on Instagram, maybe a little more, depending on how busy our week is and what's going on. You can end up with 8 in a week, depending on what's going on in our lives as INNERMIX. Because we don't want to show you this is this shoe and this is this shoe. This is this, that would be, actually no. Jules might do that one day. Take you on a tour for shoe closet.
It's not that extensive, not yet.
But so we got here's how it's going to work. The Yahoo group put together. They put a whole bunch of questions together, and then they picked their top 5 questions that they wanted us to answer. And in those questions, we might get different questions within the top 5 questions. And then the way it works is, all I'm going to do is, because they say, basically what they say is, I will ask questions, but I edit the questions when I ask them, based on what people, based on what the question is, because some of them, and it's true, because I do edit the questions, or I'll paraphrase, because they write books sometimes.
Right.
So, yes, and Jules has had to read a book or 2 on our old radio show, and so we will, keep it real with you guys. We will keep it 100. We will answer the questions the best way we know how. But what we did was, I said, okay, to make this work out a little better, I want you guys to think of questions that you want me to read, and then questions you want Jules to read, so that way, it's not seeming one-sided in the show. Camera is not focused on Jules the whole time or me the whole time. And so we have a few questions that came in, and then we'll do we'll do a back and forth thing where I will send one of the questions to Jules, then Jules will answer the question, then I'll listen to what you get, but to one of the questions in my ear, then I'll do it. But that way we'll go back and forth but Jules, they set up some rules, girl. They
Wow.
have, yeah, because they said that basically they said that I'm too politically correct to keep it 100. And Jules, don't agree.
Wow.
I know you. I know you're not agreeing with them, Jules. Huh?
He has
Okay.
his moments. He has his
Yeah.
moments.
When I keep it real, people don't like it.
When he keeps it real, things break.
No,
So.
no, not all the time. Usually hearts, egos, self-esteem. But no, but so oh man. So we're gonna give this a shot. Now, if this works out and everybody has a positive experience or at least feels like they got a chance to really know who we are, then great. If this turns into something that is ridiculous, because I understand that we're about to get some pointed questions, some creative questions, and whatever, because I know the Yahoo group. I know that's the group that is not afraid to ask anything or go anywhere with somebody. That's where you go. That is what I'm going to call, I'm not saying it's exclusive to them, y'all, but I am saying that is the Deep Thoughts group. Okay? That's the groups where, I mean, like for the married over X amount of years group, like married over 15 years group, how do you keep the relationships fresh? That's where you go to ask your questions, to get your answers. And I realized that everywhere else online, if you type in any question, Yahoo is one of the first things that pops up with the answer to that question because of Yahoo Answers.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we use Yahoo Answers to ask our question of the week, to ask, to get thoughts on different topics and how we go through. And then if the topic is big enough, we actually do a conference call with people on Yahoo so that we don't have to write back and forth. We can just talk and go through these things with, we've had some great successes and we came up with some great series. Like this series actually came from the Yahoo group, the Stress and Relationships series. And they be working people. They work us. They work us like we belong to them. But so that's what so tonight is going to be. It's I'm going to say it's structured, but we're going to try to work without as much filter. But if we do get something in that as INNERMIX we tend to deal with, whether it's something that's serious or something like that, then we have to do what we do, which is help people get from where they are to the place they really want to be in a healthy way. So that's the only caveat we have is if someone is writing in or talking about they've been assaulted or they just are having self-esteem issues or things like that, that's very important to us. So we want to make sure that we're able to help people out. But if it's about us and you want to get to know about us and our opinions and stuff like that, cool. We can go all in. I'm with it. Jules, you with it?
I mean, yeah. Bring it on.
I've had a few drinks today, so I know I'm okay with it. No.
I have heat stroke, so I don't know what I'm thinking right now. You might get the real me. I almost passed out.
The really
so
real.
Hot. Yeah, the really real.
Now I just got in. Well, first off, how was your weekend, Jules? What did you do this weekend?
My weekend was filled with many different little things. And by little things, I mean just a bunch of stuff. It wasn't necessarily one big event or like some, huge, memorable something happening. Granted, yes, they're all memorable, but they're little, events, which was good, which was fun. Like I watched Godzilla.
Okay.
I watched X-Men, which I thought was really good, by the way. Both movies actually was pretty good.
I want to see that.
That's definitely, yeah. And next on my list, I need to go see Spider-Man because I still haven't seen Spider-Man.
I saw that.
I'm still doing backtracking. I need to. I'm starting with the newest ones and then going backwards, and then if they're still in theaters.
Because I haven't seen Captain America yet either.
Oh my gosh, that one was really good. You would really like that one.
I'm not talking.
It has a lot of action in there. Combat fighting. What else did I do? I went in Korean barbecue. I
Okay.
ate a lot. I had a really fatty weekend, I think. I ate a lot.
You know, once you jump out of an airplane, you kind of say, you know what? What else can hurt me? I'm good. I can do
You
this.
live life once. Let's eat as
Yeah.
much as I can. No, and then I went to this place called Pyology. If anybody, I am very inspired by this place because it's a pizza joint
Uh-huh.
that it's a chain, but their whole philosophy is the study of custom pizzas,
Right.
hence Pyology.
Right.
And they have in every store they have a wall of inspirational quotes. So I was eating there making, I mean, but, and also you can have all the toppings you want, all the sauces, all the cheese, whatever you ask them to make, put whatever the heck you want from their menu. And the whole thing, personal pizza that's pretty big, like I would say it's a good medium-sized pizza from like Domino's,
Uh-huh.
$8.
Not bad.
And not bad at all for all the toppings that you want, and you get this amazing wall of inspirational quotes. I was sitting there like being totally blessed, eating my pizza.
I don't know if that would
Um,
work for me.
all right, but we went back there twice, my friends and I, this weekend.
Yeah, I needed some inspiration, huh?
No, for real, yeah. And after having so today. We went hiking in like the hottest day of this weekend, the hottest time. I don't know what we were thinking. And yeah,
Burn calories.
well, there's this crazy hill that never ends.
Yeah.
Like it never ends. I mean, seriously, it never ends. It's like 3 or 4 miles of straight up hill. And we were trying to check that. Made it to maybe mile number 2 and said, "Hey, oh no," we turned back down because I almost passed out. And ever since then, I haven't been the same.
You know, there's a
Yeah,
lot of those in your life. Ever since then, I've never been the same. But you never get back. You just keep on never being the same. You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It just keeps adding on top of itself.
And yeah, I was supposed to do a bunch of cleaning stuff this weekend. Nothing got done.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
So
that's
in
where my
that
weekend
sense,
picks up.
huh?
That's where my weekend picks up.
A lot of cleaning.
Spring cleaning, y'all.
Oh, nice.
We're taking everything. We took everything out of the kids' room except for their bed, and it is now in my living room.
Oh no,
I
that would drive me up the wall.
Well, see, I've always, when I was growing up, my mom would basically have us take everything out of our room, throw it in the living room, and then we have to put stuff away, right?
Yeah.
Back into our room. But as we put stuff away, if we find that we don't have a place for it, guess what? It doesn't get to stay,
Mhm.
right? So I had went over this philosophy of how I'm cleaning with my wife, because then you never have too much stuff, right? I went over that with my wife years ago, and somehow she always found an inch for things to stay in, right? And now she's adopted the philosophy because we're about to redo the kids' entire room, and or that's the goal, is to redo their room, our room, and get some reorganization happening because it's just crazy. I mean, you couldn't step into their room without stepping on something, and it might be them. It was just bad. So, because of some of the things that we have coming up and the things we're looking to get into, we said, well, then, we have to get this place in order. Like we've lived here forever, but we've never hung a picture. We never hung anything in our home because we were like, we're not gonna be here long. Right? We've been here for over 10 years. So since my daughter's over 10 years, and we're like, man, maybe we should do something here. But because this place has also been kind of the multi-purpose room for INNERMIX development projects, we couldn't do too much because we need to be able to move stuff. So it was really interesting. So my wife always keeps that in mind when we do reorganization stuff. She's like, oh, but we need the space in case INNERMIX decides to do something. I mean, she literally comes to me. She says, I really want to do this, but we got to make sure there's space for you guys to develop your next thing, whatever you guys are going to do next. And one time somebody heard her saying something like that. They're like, why do you care? She's like, because I'm invested. This is my thing. So I was like, that's my girl. I ain't trading her in. Wow. Y'all see already. So anyway, so basically cleaning over the weekend. There was a couple parties this weekend, but I didn't do anything on Saturday. On Sunday, I went to go see my wife's aunt, and we just chilled and had a good time at a barbecue. And probably got a new client for INNERMIX, and then in the process, and then today I went up to my aunt's house. My mother came into town, so I went up there and we all barbecued up there and just had a really good time, just chill, hang out, and probably got a couple more clients there too. So and I met some people who like to market, things that they really enjoy. So I basically went through some of the last few weeks of episodes in about a 30-minute span with a couple people, and they felt like they were getting a counseling session. They're like, "You guys talk about this kind of stuff?" So yeah, all the time. That's what we do. So and then I premiered one of the songs that I'm working on now, and they were like, and when can we purchase? And so it was just it was a good time. It was a very relaxing weekend. I think it's somewhat what I needed, but since my wedding anniversary is coming up soon, I'm just looking forward to that. I'm skipping everything else and I'm there now. I'm there now because we're about to do 12 years, and in the beginning people didn't think we were going to last 2 years. So
why don't they say that? Why would they say stuff like that? That's so annoying to me.
I hear that.
None of your beeswax. Stay out of my life. So.
Well, I mean, so that was one of the longer ones because some people were like, "Y'all won't even make it through the summer," or "Y'all."
What? Why are people so weird? I don't get it.
Oh, girl.
Why do they need to voice their retarded? Sorry, that's not the right word. Stupid opinions about other people that are not even valid. It's very annoying. I'm being 100%, y'all. You asked for
you see, she's still cleaning things up, so that's really good. She's still keeping it in her mix, just 100 in her mix. She's keeping it there, so that's real cool. But so
grinds my gears.
Hey, I used that a couple times this weekend. So a couple things. Oh, and one more thing. My wife told me that if I want to for Father's Day, because she's trying to figure out what to do for me for Father's Day. So I either will be. You know what? I really don't know. I haven't decided because she's given me a few options. But so you guys let me know what you think. But I have to. But for one of them, I have to actually go check with a doctor because I told her, well, I still want to go skydiving, and she said, well, then I will send you. I will push you out of the plane. So depending on what
you might need. If you do go, I'm just gonna tell you, especially with your breathing issues, you will need some kind of a mask.
Oh, well, the thing is
or breathing thing. They have one of those things.
What you described from your experience is what I experienced with sleep apnea. It's the same thing that happens when you use a CPAP machine, where you feel like you can't get your air at first and all that kind of stuff.
Well, so it'll be even worse, exasperated. So I'm just telling you, you'll need something to cover your mouth. And your nose.
I have to find out if the doctor will let me go with my eyes anyway.
Well, that too. No, you have. Oh, the pressure.
The pressure. Yes. Because everything's happening so fast that because I have a metal buckle in my eye, holding my retina to my eye, the only concern that anybody's voiced is the fact that it could, because of the pressure, rip the buckle off of my eye.
Well, the pressure's not that bad.
I didn't think it was either, but but it's just the same.
Just check. Yeah, just check anyway.
Yeah, it's the same thing they were concerned about when it came down to deep sea diving, because I wanted to actually go scuba diving, and the deeper you go, the more pressure is on your body. Mm-hmm. So because my eye, as they said in my last appointment, because my eye is a freaking miracle, they don't want nothing to possibly mess it up because they're still studying it to figure out why it's still working. Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, every doctor I've seen has spent more time on my eye than where they're supposed to be. So, and one of those doctors I saw, that was really annoying because I needed other things looked at, like my lungs. so anyway.
You go to the same doctor for your eyes and your lungs?
No, when the doctor read my chart, he was a pulmonary specialist. He looked at my chart. He said, oh, okay, and you're blind. And I said, yes. He said, well, okay, so how do you have any vision? What did they do? And I said, I have a buckle on my eye. They said, oh, okay. And I said, yes, a metal buckle, so I can't have an MRI. They said, wait, it's a metal buckle? Because they don't use that anymore. It was only used for a very short amount of time because when kids got older, their eyes would rip because the metal doesn't grow.
Ooh.
Right. So they stopped using it. They use a different kind of material now, and that way, after the kid reaches a certain age, they redo the surgery so that they're more like a permanent thing. Well, I've had the same buckle in my eye since I was 6. So they're trying to figure out how in the world do you have any vision, because your eye should have ripped at least by age 10. Your retina should have been gone as you grew. So it's all Jesus. And then my sight got better as I got older, which they are just dumbfounded. But it's all God.
You're an X-Men.
Yeah. Hey, at the rate I heal, because I did one of those tests to see how I heal and everything because of my diabetes and stuff, they were like, "You heal so fast." I said, if not for the eczema, that makes me break out. Like even my knife wound healed really quickly. But, so yeah. My wife thinks it's amazing. I tell her I just am amazing. So, so, I'm gonna go ahead with the first question here. And we've also eliminated names, people. You shy people. So if I hear your name come through here, I will not say your name because the people who also sent in stuff for Jules didn't with their name, so I'm not gonna, So one of the questions that came in said, basically, since you both are creative people and you guys write songs, what would you say is your most meaningful lyric that you've written in the last 4 months, and why? The most meaningful lyric.
Man, you guys are giving us things to think about. I don't know.
Oh wow, okay. So most meaningful lyric, and then now this was kind of interesting. Now I think I know who wrote this question because we talked about this about 5 weeks ago. So it's what's the most meaningful lyric you've written in the last couple of months? What is if you were to title a song after your last 4 relationships, what would you title them? And what would be the title track on? What would be the main song on the album to tell everybody what the overall relationship was like?
What?
Ooh. Man, see, that's the Yahoo. That's my group. That's my Yahoo group. I love y'all. Okay, okay. So she said, "What?"
Hold on. What?
Hey, you see what I go through? You see what I go through?
Oh man.
Okay, so. The most meaningful. Okay, so most recently I wrote a song called was it oh, how did I forget the title? I'm trying to sit here and make sure I don't miss a question and I forgot the title of the doggone song. The song was called. Oh wow! How do I draw a blank? I remember almost everything. Afterthought. I wrote this song called Afterthought. And in the song, one of the things that I say is, been friends for more than a minute, but it seems like when things are working out, those minutes tend to slip away. So only when things start to get a little crazy do you remember me. I'm just an afterthought, something like that. But in that moment, that's exactly how I felt. And then I was telling somebody about that, and the reason I think it was one of the most meaningful things I'd written the last couple of months, because it turned out there's a lot of people who felt the exact same way, where they're not considered for the good times and the fun things. They're considered for the things that they get the leftovers, or they get the oh yeah and you and all that kind of stuff. So even though I was feeling that way, I found that there were so many others who didn't know how to express it. So that was so I think that's one of the most meaningful lyrics I've written in the last 3. Yeah. Actually, I wrote it 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago or something. So yeah. So that was one of the most meaningful ones. Now I can't guarantee the lyric's going to stay that way, depending on the track that I put it to. And there are different incarnations of this particular song. Um, because I have an original, and then I realized that I need something that could possibly go to radio.
Right.
So there's a movement that takes place, and because what I was going through was so personal and hit me so hard, that I kept it 100. And but I didn't. But the thing is, I didn't curse in the song or anything like that. But what I did do was I said things in the song that could literally break. That people would recognize themselves in the material.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Very
want
poignant.
Yeah, it's very pointed. So I started going through situations that only those people would know, and I didn't want to do that. So so there are a couple different versions of that. But that was one of the most meaningful lyrics, I think. And then I've only ever had, 3 relationships. So the first one would be, so the first relationship I was in, I would title the album Waking Up. And the song in the title track on that would be something like learning about myself is painful, or something like that. Learning about myself, or trusting me versus listening to you. That would probably be a line in there somewhere. But that would be my thing, is because that first relationship was when the girl poisoned me. A lot of you don't even know about that yet, but yeah, that was the first one I was ever in. And then the one after that, I would call the album would be called Running for Understanding, something like that. And the title track would be called Obsession, or something like that, because when people are told how beautiful, how wonderful, and how great they are, they become obsessed at times, and they can't see themselves anymore. And the one I was with could only see me. And my mother actually brought her up today, and that's a whole other discussion for me and Jules to have later, because it was funny. But anyway, can't have it here. And then now, I've said this before to some other people, but now, so my third relationship is my wife. No, I guess it's my fourth relationship, because the one before my wife, I would call that album Over It. And the title track to that would deal with
really over it.
would be I Know. It would be I Know. And I already know that song goes, be something like, the way you treated me, I dealt with, and I stayed there with you no matter what happened. I know all the things that you said and all the things that you did. I just kept staying back. I kept just staying there. And yeah, I know my friends tried telling me, but I wouldn't listen. And I understand now. Well, guess what? I know that you were just using me to abuse me and get me where you really wanted me. I know now that I'm doing all the things. So you know what I'm saying? Like it'd be I know. It would just be I know. I tell you about yourself. I know I made some mistakes. I know I'm better. You still where you were. I know. You know what I'm saying? Hold on.
I know.
And now you sitting there on your couch watching me do all the things I always told you I would do, and you sitting there saying, yeah, I know. So, probably wouldn't release it that way. That'd probably be, no, I probably wouldn't release it that way. Anyway.
I would.
Yeah, I know you would, girl. Y'all ain't been in the studio with us. But I can't say that, Joe. But anyway. But and then the one for my wife, I would simply call it Love Song. And then the title track for that would probably be called Healed. So
nice.
Yeah.
God, I can't even remember the last 4 relationships. Can I just do the last 2? Or the 2 big ones that like were tumultuous? Tumultuous number 1, tumultuous number 2.
T1, T2.
Yeah.
Go for what you know, girl. Go for what you know.
Yeah. So I'll do 3. How about this? I'll do 2 in the past, bad relationships, and 1 hopeful one for the future, because I don't want bad ones only on my track record. So one of them, wow, the last 2 that I can think of, they're pretty similar.
Wait, meaningful lyric. Y'all, get out my ear. Y'all, get out my... Okay. Meaningful lyric, Jules. Yeah.
God, I don't remember my lyrics. I'm being 100. I'm sorry. I have to go get my notes. I don't know where it is. Um, somewhere.
Hey, y'all, she ain't lying. Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry. I do this. I do this. It's pretty sad. Maybe that's my lyric. I do this. I'm sorry. Um,
oh, that'd
but
be a
there
cool
is
type
one
song.
song in particular I remember, and
Uh,
it's it the just the title is really meaningful for me because it ties in with one of the title songs that I would use for one of the albums of the past relationship. It was titled "Cheated,"
mhm.
and I remember writing that song out of straight like hurt and anger because I felt so cheated at the time, and when I wrote when I wrote the song, it was about it was pointed at a relationship kind of view, but
Mhm.
then when I
Mhm.
was writing it, it I basically I redirected my anger from a particular situation to a relationship setting. But when I wrote it, I was pissed at somebody else, a business relationship, and
Uh,
um, and the whole situation that just went really south, and I felt so cheated and lied to,
like
because I
literally south.
was.
It went literally south.
Yeah, and I wanted to really hurt somebody, but then I wrote the song instead, and it ended up actually sounding pretty good. um,
I should played
but
that song for somebody today.
oh really?
Yeah.
And but actually both of my past two relationships, that would be a really good title song because I did get cheated on. um, and yeah, as far as album titles. Wow, I don't. Glad it wasn't you.
That's a long title for an album.
I'm over it. um, and
No, no. If it's a Jules title, is I'm so over it.
yeah, I'm so over it. That is so me. And then as far as in the being hopeful for the future relationship, I think the title would be Finally, or
Mhm.
the album will be Finally, and then um, the title song might be something like. Actually, what I was thinking about was having the title song be the same for all. Oh, the title be the same for all three, but have completely different songs.
uh,
The title would be "Loving Me," because through the past couple relationships, in the past, when I was going through my relationship with myself, and then not understanding that relationship very well, or my worth and my value and all of that, and then having them mistreat me as well. So that the one of the songs would be kind of about loving me was not your priority.
mhm.
Another song would be something like loving me is something I need to do. I need to love me. And then the future one would be like thank you for loving me. So yeah, something like that. Loving me part one, loving me part two, loving me part three.
That'd be interesting.
Mm.
I would have if I were naming your albums. I would name the last, like you said, the last one would be finally, and then because it's such a Jules phrase, it'd be I'm done, right? And, and then it would be, but then it would be all about being done with the things that kept you from loving yourself and
Yeah.
loving it. You see what I'm saying? So this girl's just said, D, man, you just, it said, D, man, S, you the S, when it comes down to S like that. See, right there, see, that's a lot of S's in the one phrase, one sentence. Man, that's funny. But yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's really cool. So, okay, so we made it through that question. High five. We did good. I hope that helped. Okay, so now I'm going to send Jules hers. Mm, 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 mm,
Where are you
mm.
sending this?
I'm sending it right into our chat
Okay.
so that you don't have to wonder where it's at.
Cool. Question from Anonymous. How would you say you guys have changed in the last year? What are the good and what are some of the negative? So good ways we've changed and negative ways we've changed
In the last
in the
year?
last year. Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, I see. I think my two contradict each other. But so I'm gonna have to explain. Okay, so I think I actually got more patient in the last year than I've had to be in the last couple of years. I think this year has been more about staying focused and just moving forward no matter what. And it requires a lot of patience. And because of the different hats I wear, every one of them requires that I'm patient. And I didn't realize how patient I had to be until the last 8 weeks or so. It's just been one thing on top of the other. Um, and then the negative thing, but see, I'm not really sure if I would call it super negative, but I realized that I am. Oh, how do you say that without it? A, sounding negative, and B, affecting the business. No, but I guess it's trusting. Like when it comes down to trusting that people are going to, um, what's a good way to say it? How would I phrase that? Man, somebody in my ear like keep it 100. Trusting, yeah, but trusting that people are going to do not what they say they're going to do because everybody has good intentions and falls off somewhere down the line. So that doesn't bug me as much. It's more of um, not being so willing to go out and help people do things that they're not working on their own, type thing. So trusting people to keep their own vision so that way they can get assistance. I'm not like I would go literally and help people not only build a vision but move forward in that vision until they could see that vision take shape and take and become something. But then recently I heard my mom actually said the same thing where she said that, that was her whole thing was just going out and help people do things that they really said they wanted to do, but didn't show that they were actually moving in the direction of. But she could see them doing it, therefore she would help them build it. And then they, but if so, some people did really well. They appreciated and they moved forward. Others, they did not have anything invested, so they did not complete, they did not appreciate, and they just and it kind of burns you. So me, I got to the point to where I'm like, if you want to do it, then show me you want to do it. You can't tell me, like I had this conversation earlier today, you can't tell me that you want me to help you, but you want me to chase you to help you. That's not going to happen. I'm just not gonna. I don't have that kind of time, and if I had that kind of time, I'd rather be playing video games and chasing you for something you need help with. So so if you want help, my number. If you really want to get better in whatever it is, call for help, and I will help you because that means you actually want it. But then, because somebody was asking for business help and building their business, but they wanted me to design it, build it, show them how to make it work. I wasn't gonna do. No, I wasn't gonna do all that. So
Good.
no, I wasn't gonna do all that because I got other pressing things on my mind. So 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 that was my thing is believing when people say they really want something that they actually want that thing versus it just being lip service. So now so I'm not gonna say it's fully negative because there are people who just need that kind of help, but they appreciate it, and you can tell they do all the way down the road. And so some people you're gonna have to give them a desire, give them a dream, and then walk them into that thing because it's what they want. They just know how to phrase it. So I can't say that I'm going to never, help people build and move forward in something because it's just in me to do that. But there's a lot of people who say that they want to do stuff and they whatever, but if I'm not bringing it to their attention, they don't move on it. And so for me, I'm like, if you don't move, I'm not going to move. I don't have to. You're the one who wanted to move. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I still do that even in love, and it annoys my wife. Both of them, apparently. That one and that. My industry wife and my real wife. Um, so yeah, so I would say so. The positive, of course, like I said, is I'm just more patient, but But the negative is the not trusting people to do what they say they really want to do. I'm working through that. I don't think it's gonna last long.
Let's see. For me, how I changed in the last year in the positive way, I also think I've my my patience level meter has slightly gone up a bit from last year. um, I've I've changed in how I speak to people a little bit more, like catering to an individual's personal needs as more so than before. I mean, if you guys know, patience is not my virtue, unfortunately. So God is really working with me on that. Um, and you
You
know,
ain't the only one, girl. You ain't the only one.
but my spiritual walk, I think he's been showing me more things so like vision wise or dreams wise, and like there are certain things that like confirm. So in that way, spiritually, I think I've grown and changed a little bit, and I've just become more what is it, more grounded, more stable, even more so than I was before on my I mean, because I'm not that I was like all over the place last year, because I think I was already on a better path than I was like 5 years ago, for sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah. um, I have rediscovered my love for wine.
I was talking about that the other day too. Go ahead.
But some negative things, I definitely see some negative things too. That I've really recently noticed I haven't been a very good friend. I haven't hung out with and kept correspondence with some of my really close friends who I used to see all the time. One of the reasons is distance. I now live in a different area than them, and so distance-wise, yeah, it's kind of harder to just call up, hey, what are you doing? Because we used to live like really close to each other, some of my friends, and then just call them up and let's have dinner after work or whatever. But now it is more of a work, like you have to write it in the schedule type thing for me. And so because of that and all the other things that are happening work-wise and personal stuff, and it just became really difficult to keep in touch. Even during the day or on my off time. So that's something that I've noticed that is kind of a negative thing, because I don't want to ever disregard my friends or take their relationship for granted, because that is no way any good for anybody, and that's not something I want to do. I definitely value them and appreciate them, so I want to work on that. I need to work on that. I need to make time to do that. So that's something I have recently realized in the last week or so, that that's kind of what's been happening, and I don't like that about myself. Also, it's kind of been like a awakening kind of weekend, I think, because now I have time to think. Yeah. So, because I haven't been like running around all week or whatever. Or maybe the sky falling kind of woke me up. I don't know, but I've become, as there was a little period when I got very comfortable. I've noticed that I got very comfortable where I was. Everything was just kind of on like a wheel, like conveyor belt, just like machine, and right. It's very comfortable, and it's it's
predictable, so it helps.
Yeah, it's predictable. Yeah, and there were other things too that were like issues or like things that kept popping up, like family or this, da da da. So if everything else is stable and then one thing at a time pops up, then it's handled.
It's manageable, right?
Yeah, manageable. So my stress levels are not off the charts like it used to be, and so I liked that stableness for a while. But then that also means that certain other things that I've been wanting to work on, or that I've been, that's been my goals, are kind of suffering from that. And so I've noticed that as well, and I don't like that either. So now it's like kind of I've been so one another good thing I guess that's been changing is that I've been stress managing better, but then that also could be because I have less stress. I'm putting less on my plate to have less stress, but
Mm.
that also can be a negative thing, you know? Um, so yeah, it's about how much can I put on my plate without tipping the plate over or spilling over, and just not being able to eat at a buffet. So, um, it's that measuring scale that I need to work on, more so at this point. And yeah, so those are some good and the negative.
And there comes a point when, because everybody gets comfortable in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Like that's why people in entertainment, they try not to sit still too long
Hmm.
because it's too easy to miss normacy. You know, because once you really taste normacy, you're like, why do I do this again? Or why do I put myself through this? Because this is something I actually put myself through. You know, that kind of thing. So so it can be a little out there. And then people have, like in marriages, when we talk to people who are married and stuff like that, they say, everything's just so routine. Where's the spark? Where's the excitement? Where's the new? And but when too many new things happen, everybody's like, where's the regular? Where's the old? Where's the
Hmm.
routine? So there's really no, happy, I think, for anybody when they do that until they learn how to find balance. And um, I realized recently that I was getting close to burnout, right? And um, because because I didn't have a this is low and this is high. Everything was high to me. Everything had same value, same importance, same, whatever. I wasn't going to let the church down. I wasn't going to let, intermix stuff down. I wasn't going to let family stuff down. I wasn't going to stop doing anything. I was just
Hmm.
going to keep pushing because that's the role in my mind, that's the role I play is keep things moving. It doesn't matter what it is and keep it all moving. So, um, so I think and I was getting really good at managing those three key things because those three things make up everything that I do for the most part, right? And then one other thing got thrown on a couple weeks ago, and it almost broke me. I was like, no, see, no, And I said, okay, but then when I found that I was strong enough to deal with that too, I was like, maybe I need. That's what I said. Okay, I'm strong enough, but should I have to go into my? Should I have to call up all of my reserves? To deal with new things that pop up, because
Hmm.
the one thing is dealing with the church, especially when studying to become, to move forward in to help people. You have to have a sense of balance about the way you deal with life and its decisions, so that you can help people move forward, especially as a life coach and things like that. Um, but um, but when it comes down to entertainment, there are so many moving variables in entertainment. If you're not balanced in your approach to how you deal with things so that you can deal with excitement and be excited about exciting things, and when disappointment comes, not let it drag on for 3 weeks.
Hmm.
You have to have a sense of balance about yourself. And you actually have to have, and you also have to have a very realistic view of who you are. And it's a very interesting it's a very interesting thing to find that balance. But when you do, because and balance for somebody who has a regular 9 to 5 and goes home, they a lot of times, like I talked to somebody recently who said, I don't know how you guys go to church so much because that's just so draining. I mean, that's just too much. but to
Ah.
us, but to us, it's normal, right? To go and do those things and then travel out to see other people's doing stuff in church and still go to our kids' performances and still come home and still get ready to preach and all that. That's normal. That's not too much. You might get tired every once in a while, but not like, you know, every time it has to happen. Um, so finding the balance that works best for you is more important than just trying to find somebody else's balance. It doesn't work. You have to
Of
find out
course.
what you can handle and how that works best for you.
Hmm.
Um, we got three people like, thank you, so much for that. Because when you were talking, we got a couple of, oh, you're so right. I don't know what's basically one person said that they were dealing in the normacy. They well not norm, but they said something like, I'm trying to remember exactly how it came out. But basically, they got so into the routine that they they realized that their dream was slipping through their fingers, and they stopped noticing it because they were only focused on what was right in front of them, and
Mhm.
out of sight, out of mind was her whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I said, so I'm like, because I was talking to somebody else about this. Was it this morning or I don't know? But anyway, uh, it wasn't yesterday. Sometimes it just gets like that, where if you don't have to look at it, you don't have to deal with the intricacies of it per se, then it's not really something that's going to be in the forefront of your mind, and that's not necessarily I'm not going to say it's a good or bad thing, because it depends on where you are and what you are getting in the place that you're in. So like for like I know, like without doubt, without any link, without any doubt at all, anything, that I know exactly what Intermix is for. I know why it is, and so I don't have any issues about the only issue I ever had with Intermix was the time that it may take from my family. But then the family jumped on board, and they sing the songs more than I do because I don't even know all the words. So so I was playing. I was playing one. I was playing one of the show. I was playing our show CD with all the songs that we have ready for live shows, because I'm looking at different things for us to do, and my daughter knew almost all the words to all the songs, and I said, "Oh, good."
She could be my backup.
But it was really interesting. Like, hey, I saw you dropping like a word here or a word there, as opposed to a whole phrase, Jules. But anyway.
How did this song start again?
Literally, y'all, she'll ask you that right before the song starts. She's like, oh, yeah, I got it. It's that key word. It helps out. So, okay, the next question that we have, what was that? Oh, I was like, I'll try to remember because I heard it come in. So next question is, what would you say is what one area of your life would you say defines your entire it defines who you are as a person from head to toe, and you can't say God or church? Why do you always do that to us?
What one area?
Yeah, like what would you say sums up? What one thing would you say sums up the embodiment of who you are? Basically, and I know, and again, I know this came from the Yahoo group, and well, because all these kids did, but because a couple weeks ago we were talking about if God gave you a particular purpose, wouldn't that purpose sum up everything that you are from head to toe? Wouldn't you kind of walk in that thing? Wouldn't that thing kind of reflect, wouldn't people be able to basically say, oh, that's who that person is, that's what they do? And even if they can't put the one word on it, wouldn't they see that thing on you? Kind of like people who were born to design. Or people who are born to do certain things. You just know it when you're around them, because they can't, because even when they're relaxing and whatever, it still radiates from them. You walk up to them and say, oh, you're that such and such. I know you're a good such and such or whatever. So, it was a really good topic, because you know how people are always saying, what's the purpose for my life, type thing. And so they're finding a creative way to ask, what would you say the thing is that sums you up from head to toe, that defines everything that you are and all the things that you do, and you can't say God or church, because that's basically, right, the easy answer.
Right.
I don't know how easy that is, but because it takes a while to get there, y'all. But yeah. So after that, yeah, go ahead, Jules.
I'll go. I think, and I would like to for this to be true. That the word would be inspire. I want to not only inspire myself, I want to inspire others in as many ways as possible. Not just because of what I do and oh she's an entertainer, she's Asian. Not just so much that, but like even at church sometimes, and I know you guys that don't bring God up or whatever, but I have to. That's part of me. When I go to church and I sing on stage for praise and stuff, I get inspired, and then I also get inspired from others who get inspired. And it's like a continuous thing that grows, that synergy that grows, because I get blessed, they get blessed, and it's a continuous thing. And I want to do that, have that kind of movement, that kind of flow in everything that I do. So when I talk to people, when I share my stories, when they see that I'm still continuing, regardless of how much older I get or how all the difficulties or how long it's taking or whatever, the stuff that people sometimes throw in our way or in my face, that that we are not giving up. I'm not giving up, and that it's continuously a moving, growing thing. That entity that INNERMIX has become, and as Jules, the entertainer, has become, and the person and the woman that I've become. That people get inspired by that. That even not the stuff that happened in the past doesn't hold me back. That it actually propels me to move forward. That the stuff that is blocking my way doesn't hold me back. I just jump over them or go a different route. That I, that people see me as somebody who's still learning and still growing, and they also get inspired that they also can grow, and that wherever they're at is not the end. That they can continuously aspire to be something greater, someone greater, and pursue their dreams. I'd like to embody the word inspire.
That sounded like an acceptance speech. But at the same time, it was kind of like the graduation speech. We are in graduation season, so
yes, congrats to all the grads.
But yeah, that was really cool. The one word I would say that embodies everything that I do is coach. Like one of our clients recently asked a very similar question, and because they were trying to figure out why I spend so much time talking to them. Right, and I realized that everything I do involves coaching, whether it's consulting or whether it's developing an artist or what have. I love that moment when somebody realizes that they can in the situation where they thought they can't or could never be or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's something in that moment that moves me. So if I'm singing, it's because I want people to be moved, and I'm willing to coach them into a place of positive thinking. And if it's through acting, then it's still safe. But I love that. But I live for that moment when people realize that, So even when I preach, it's that moment. So everything I do is about coaching people past the thing that they think is gonna cause them to never make it and get to where they, and so they can see that they can do that. And it is about overcoming the things of the past, but learn not only that, but for me, I like to remember the road that got me from where I was to where I am. And then that way when I'm walking the road to tomorrow, I remember I got past all that stuff. And I remember all the dips, turns, and twists in that road, so that if somebody else is calling me and saying, I'm at this point, which way do I turn? I can remember. It's not just an assumption or a beautifully written thought. You know what I'm saying? It's because everybody has quotes they put up, but it's something that's like, no, this is what I did to get past this step. So yeah, I look at it that way. So coaching is just embodies me from head to toe, whether I want it to or not from time to time. But it is who I am.
I agree.
So, I concur. So, matter of fact, our martial art instructor recently said, I think when we get you, in about a year and a half, you might be coaching this martial art class. Part of me inside like, no, but the part of me is like, that'd be kind of cool. So it was very interesting. Okay, let's send Jules her next question.
Jules, you are obviously, and I emphasize on that because I like it, obviously a beautiful woman. Thank you.
Have you seen her today? No.
Why not use that beauty to create more opportunities for yourself? Do you ever feel as though the only reason you have not achieved more in your career is due to your relationship with Simply D? What value do you believe he breaks to your, or I'm assuming they meant brings to your overall career goals? I don't understand these questions. I've said it many times before. What do you mean, use my beauty to create opportunities for myself? I don't understand that. Pour myself out? Go lie on top of cars? No. I
It is
I don't.
Hollywood.
No, that's not happening. Um, I I don't necessarily. I appreciate that the compliment. I think beauty is something not just on the exterior. I definitely believe, because I think there are some, outside pretty people who are really ugly people. When I see people in general, women or men, I look at, it's very much so the inside and outside as a combined thing. Um, I, and so when you say use my beauty, I don't understand that. What does that mean exactly? How do I create more opportunities using that? I don't understand what that means. Um, and as far as how my relationship with D, how that has affected my career, um, he's one of the main reasons why I have my career. So he, him and I both, actually, he has more of a deeper relationship with my agents. When my agents are not doing anything, he sends me out on auditions. Um, him and his wife actually are tag teaming and doing all of that stuff as well as my agent, actually more so than my agents sometimes, many times. Um, as far as INNERMIX goes, there would be no INNERMIX without D. It has been, from the get-go, a very 50-50 combined unit partnership. And so without him and his, vision and his efforts and his sweat and tears that went into building INNERMIX as a company, there would be no this. As far as what you see today, it would not be the way it is at all. I probably, and also actually, if it wasn't for D finding me, or actually God placing him into my life at the time that he did, I don't even know if I would still pursue anything in entertainment. Who knows? I'm not sure, because at the time I thought I was gonna quit music altogether. When I first met D, so who knows? Maybe if D was never in my life, I would probably be not even in front of this computer right now doing hangouts. I can't really say, but
Old Joe's wouldn't have did it. Old
oh
Joe's
no, that's for sure.
No. I can tell you, that this would not be happening. This this it hit? No, go ahead.
As far as D, what he just said prior to this question about coaching, he was my coach. He coached me through. He was my life coach, actually, and he also was my musical coach. I'm not talking about pitch, because I got good pitch. But
that's her thing. That's her. Y'all can say whatever you want about Jules, but don't talk about her pitch. Do not talk. I mean, seriously.
No, but he helped me not do my girl group poses. And, shut up! Don't laugh. I'm
gonna do it for y'all, right? No.
Stage presence and being able to connect with the crowd, all these things, artist development. Actually, D coached me through all of that when I didn't have that. When I first started out as an artist, acting. He's my acting coach. There's so many. We're so intertwined in our relationship as far as coach and mentee and mentor.
Someone said, "Damn, D, you don't sleep."
No, he doesn't. He really don't.
No, that's
he has sleep apnea too, so he really don't. But there's so many ways that we have become so infused in each other's lives and each other's careers that there's no way, um, if anything, he enhances everything that I do as opposed to bringing me down or whatever it is, pulling me, pushing me, or what is it, holding me back or whatnot. That, yeah, that's not really I don't see that happening at all. So, yeah, again, going back to the first part, I don't understand using your beauty to create more opportunities for myself. I don't understand what that means. So, yeah.
Man, you guys are just like blowing me up right now. And seriously. Everything I have that's electronic and tied to us is just going crazy. My ears, man. Okay, so, okay, one girl writes, and that's her name on there, one girl. Okay, one girl writes that using your beauty means to basically decide that, basically decide that if you appear to be available and willing to move forward in the industry without having ties to anything, because of your looks, it would help you accomplish more quicker because of where you're located and things of that nature. I say things.
See, I don't know why is it consensus, like public consensus, that is the case. I don't see that as a case at all.
Well, most likely, one, they don't live in our area, so they don't really see a lot of the things that we see. B, I think it's because single women tend to get more opportunities. Like in terms of if it's two women working together in Hollywood, they tend to get more opportunities. If you have a male woman setup, then they always assume the men who are interested in working with the woman, because they usually, to be honest, very few of the first opportunities that come up are based on the girl's talent so much as her look. And then they say, well, we can always send her to school to get the talent, but I'm drawn to her, or I'm attracted to her. Let's see if this will work out, right? And then, but they can't use that I'm attracted to her approach when you have a male partner. They're like, oh, you're gonna see me coming from a mile away. And remember the dude outside of class one day, and he was trying to use that approach. Remember that? The one who said Google me. The one who wanted to basically try to talk to you about how great he was and how.
But here's the thing: I think I avoid a lot of stupid headaches that are not necessary by having D around. I don't need to go through all that crap. At the end of the day, that's all crap. They're just talking a bunch of crap, and it doesn't amount to anything. So, thank you, D.
Great, I get her crap.
Yeah, you do.
I had a joke. I'm gonna leave it alone. I gotta keep it pushing. We're going keep it pushing. Keep it pushing. No, see, that goes with the crap joke. Keep it pushing. Oh man, D, come back, D. So yeah, no, that was from what I remember of the question, because I've heard so many things in my ears in that whole time. But I think you answered the question right. Let's go on to the next question that was sent in. We're sending this one to Jules. This is dedicated to Jules, I think. You know what? To be quite honest, I haven't read any of these questions. So
that's fine.
So you guys, we're
keeping it 100. Holy crap!
I copied.
All right, Jules. Holy moly! As a woman, how many sexual partners do you feel is too many before marriage? What are your thoughts when it comes to porn stars looking for real relationships? If you met a great guy and found out that he had a history in porn, would you think of him as possible marriage material? And what about if a woman has been with 8 or more men before getting married? Do you think that should affect the category in which she is considered? For example, used, not wife material, slut, good girl, pure, and so on. You must have an opinion. Please share it with us. Holy crap! That's long and intense.
Yahoo! Definitely. I get 30 of those a week.
As far as how many sexual partners is too many, I think that's a very I mean, for myself, I for me now, because my Jules now versus Jules like 5 years ago is very different Jules. So, um, Jules now is who's gonna be talking. um, how many partners is too many before marriage? Now, I wish I could say I just want one. I mean, not before marriage. I just want one partner for the rest of my life, or forever, my entire life. That would be ideal. Um, so anything more than that one number, technically is too many. But having said that, if you have more than that, does that mean you're anything less? No. Everybody goes through what they have gone through in the past. They all, learn from different things, their situations. Crap happens. And I was about to say the S word, but I'm not gonna. Crap happens. You learn from it. You are in different places and different points of your life, and it's up to you to change certain things, change that about it. But what happened? Did we just drop out? I just lost D. I hope he comes back. But yeah, like I don't feel that there is a particular number for everybody. It's very different. Who you are today is where you're gonna start. That's how I feel. Whatever happened in the past is in the past. You move on and you learn from it. If your number was, I don't know, whatever the heck the number was, I don't care at this point. It doesn't matter because as long as you're not adding on to that at this point, if you're really wanting to enhance your relationship, if you want a fulfilling relationship that's long lasting, that's loving, that's caring, that's real, that's gonna be there for you through thick and thin, that's what you want from this point on. So I don't care about what number you had in the past. That doesn't matter. It's about how you are today, what number you're going to have today, starting from this point on. So now, if you're looking for your life partner, your husband, your wife, start today, or whenever it was, you work on yourself. You don't do any of the other things. You don't sleep around. You don't just, taste the rainbow. No, that's not the case. You wait for your one, starting from today. That's the new number. There's that one. You know what I mean? And as far as if I met a guy and he happened to have a history in porn, it depends if he's still in it. If he is, then yeah, no. That's a big red X. Let's say, he did it to put himself through college. I don't know. But he's no longer doing that. He's, repented and he's completely not in that scene. It would be a little weird, yes, if his videos are still around. It's very strange. But I don't watch porn, so I wouldn't know anyway. But then if people tell me about it, that would be very strange. Yeah. And it might cause issues and little flare-ups in our relationship. But as far as I look at who the man is, who the person is today, and who they want to be. So whatever happened in the past, as long as it's no longer in the present, and they're a changed man or a changed woman, and they're working on their life from this point on, and that no longer enters, then then we can at least start somewhere. But if they're still dabbling in that, or they still bring it around, or if that is part of their lifestyle, then that's a definite no for me. I can't. It's just not part of who I am. And what about if a woman has been with, same again, 8 or more men before getting married? I don't care. Like, it's about how you are. I would never label somebody, oh, you're such a slut. Like, oh, you're such a blah, blah, blah. Like, I can't, there was a time when, my friends and I would joke around and say that to each other. Yeah, because like, oh, you dress like such a slut. Oh, da, da, da. But we don't even say that anymore because it's just, not healthy. I don't like hearing that word. I sometimes say it to my guy friends because it's different. But, yeah, as far as that number, it, again, is what I said before, is who you are today, who you want to be, who you're working on, how you're working on your life, your self today is what I look at. Your past is your past, and as long as you've learned from it, it's no longer bothering you or entering your present, then it's what it is. So that's my opinion.
Cool. I'm sitting here just. They're all talking at the same time, Jules. Okay, let's go with things that are addressing this particular thing, because you guys are all over the place. Okay, so I'm gonna. One question that came in while Jules was answering was, do guys view this situation the same way? Um, it depends on the guy, just like it depends on the
Yes.
girl who answers this
Hmm.
question. Okay, um, because a guys want a good bad girl. Like it's a weird thing. It's like most rap songs.
Lady on the street, street freaking the bed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They want a good bad girl, but they want a good bad girl that nobody else has had a lot of the time, because then there's no comparison. So they're always going to be the best that they've ever had. Well,
Yes.
first off, I'm going to let you guys know one thing about that. I have a friend, um, and everybody she's been with has been terrible, no matter who they were to her, because they never actually took care of her. They only took
Mm.
they were only about getting things quickly and getting it aggressively, because that's what they saw in the movies. And and some girls are like that. Some girls enjoy that kind of thing, but he never got to know her. Therefore, she said, as long as she's been active, she's never, and even with in her relationship now with her husband, she's never gotten to a point to where she felt like she could trust them enough for her to let go.
Mm. Even
And
with her husband
even with her husband, because of the things,
in the
because
past. Yeah.
not just that, but no, not the past, because of it's not just the past, but because of the sexual behavior of the people, of how men approach these situations.
Even her
And
husband?
yeah, because some people never learn how to. Well, first off, it's rare when and I did find out. I've talked to a lot of older women, and they say the same thing. It is rare when a man takes time to learn his woman when it comes down to sexual behavior, because if she has to teach him something, that means he has something to learn, and men don't deal well with learning when it comes to that, because a lot of their ego is built on sexual prowess, not the ability to please. No, it's built on their idea that they're pleasing the person, and the women saying yes, this pleases me, not whether she's being pleased or not. So they will take whatever the behavior was they'll take whatever they did from the person they were with originally that said yes, this is great, and use that same behavior on everybody they're with thereafter. And so when the husband started taking old behaviors into a new situation, um, she was somebody, as my friend, I know her, I know how intense her drive was. It was very, but now she has like no drive at all,
Hmm.
because there's no attention. So when I talked with her, and I've had this conversation with a few friends who've gotten married and stuff, because yeah, but so I told her about what the experience should be, and because of who she is, she's like, if you were with me, what would it be like? So I told her what it would be like if I were with her, based on my experience in understanding who she is as a person. And she was
Like,
like,
you mean sex-wise?
yeah, just knowing her personality, knowing how, yeah, just because if you know somebody's personality, you can pretty much break down who they are sexually, um, to a degree. And so when I broke down what she's looking for versus what she's experiencing, just based on me knowing her, not from her telling me anything, um, she's like, that's what I've always wanted, but I've never had. Now, mind you guys, I talk to a lot of people, and so, and I've been parts of studies that deal with knowing somebody's sexual personality, learning from their sexual personality who they are as people and all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing this for a long, long time. But so it was able. So because I had to convince her to continue to sleep with her husband, and to find ways to make it exciting and good for her, because she was got to give up on the entire thing and just be a mom and be a wife with no sexual interaction. Couldn't let that happen. So I had to excite her about
Well, the husband doesn't want to have sex either?
No, he does, but she's the person who, and I have three friends who've done this, but she's one of the three that basically said, men don't ask you when you're going to be off your menstruation. They just assume they know. So if I say, it's extra heavy and it's not going to, and it's a week and a half later, 3 weeks later, they're just frustrated, but they don't necessarily, they're not going to go and check. So she creates extra long menstruation cycles so that it doesn't have to, so she doesn't have to have it.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, there are lots of things girls do to not have sex.
Wait, dude, don't men don't care?
They care, but men are not saying, "Oh, I want to get with you while you're on it." They just like, "Oh, maybe she's having a girl issue," because men don't know too much about how the bodies work, other than that she menstruates once a month. They don't really think about how long it should last. It might vary from time to time depending on stresses, things like that. And since he's not going to go and verify that she's still menstruating, he's taking her word for it, and so she doesn't have to, so she can avoid, having for she can avoid having sex for. She said longest she got away with it was like 6 weeks.
What the? She had menstruation for 6 weeks?
No. She made an appointment for herself to go see the women doctor during the time when right when she was going to be even though she didn't need an appointment, she went and had an appointment so that she could say that she was still sore, so she couldn't do it. And then it was a layer on. It was just a lot of stuff. But anyway, you guys. So what ends up happening is so a lot of men don't really pay attention to what women are looking for, what they want, because they especially if you have previous experiences with other women who were more aggressive per se, or so like some men never learn how to make love because they weren't with girls that they ever planned on loving, right? So because of that, they themselves only know what you're going to find in a video store, but they don't know how to. And this is an issue that came up online not that long ago. When you do a search how to make love, it's a lot of men asking questions because they never learned how to make love. They only knew what the media and what porn said women really want and what they really want to experience. So then when their wives say, why do you only, wow, is there another word for what it why do you only attack me aggressively? I guess is the best way to say that without using a curse word. How come you never make love to me? I never feel your heart when we're making love, and blah, blah, blah. First off, men are like, excuse me? What is that? How you gonna feel my heart? And it's like, I really don't feel like I'm getting to know you when we're together and things like that, because, not everything has to be a beautiful, violins playing, love-making experience, but there are times when it is, but those are the experiences that actually make things feel more real, I guess. Because yeah, you get those moments when you want the high pleasure and the high, the high from it. But then there are the moments where you can get a bigger high and you get more reassured and you feel more together and you feel strengthened, when you're actually in those love-making sessions. But those sessions, for a lot of people, don't exist.
Oh, that's sad.
They just don't know, because, well, you have it on both sides. You have women who don't know. You have women who really only want aggression because they don't know how to. They've blocked off the need to feel. And then you have men who don't, who only learned this is what women want, and they learned this from a lot of the, stuff whether it's porn or even in music and stuff like that. So this is the behavior. And then the young girls who learn from the music videos and all that, they basically say this is what we want too, until they get older. But by the time they get older and they're with the guys from that generation who didn't learn how to take time with them to understand them. So yeah, so that's one thing. But then, like I said, guys tend to want somebody who they could take home to mom, and at the same time who knows how to and that they feel like they can say, I'm not going to say all guys, but a lot of guys will say, I never want to think about the idea that someone else has been with my girl, because then they're going to experience everything I've experienced. And this is an issue that apparently a lot of married men still are dealing with. And I know one guy who's been married for over 22 years, and it's still an issue for him. I'm like,
oh, wow.
But you're with her. Well, the thing is, it's even the Bible tells you, says even the Bible tells you your imagination will run rampant with you when you let it. And when you're having difficulties and stuff like that, like, like men, okay, let me be real. Like, women have this thing where they say, who is she? Because he's, or because you're not paying the same kind of attention to me that you used to pay to me, and this, that, and the other. So there must be somebody else you have your eye on, this, that, and the other. When the woman is no longer feeling, like she wants to be intimate, right? Then sometimes guys will be, because you're thinking about that other guy, or maybe your in bed style has changed, and your responses are not what he's used to. He's either thinking that you've been with somebody else, or you're remembering somebody else, and it's not because of him, even if it is him, because you never reacted this way or whatever before. Or maybe you and your girls talked and said you should try this. So when he's so now when you guys are together, something new happens out of the blue, and like, you never done this with me before. What, you did this with somebody else? You're like, it's just this. It's a big. Your mind will jack you up if you let it. If you don't focus on the person you're with as opposed to the history they have. But apparently it's becoming more and more of a thing. I've heard so many stories from people that I never thought I'd hear these stories from. Right? But they just voiced, they're like, well, sometimes I think about the fact that there is somebody else out there who's been with my wife, and I don't like that. And
well, I don't think anybody would like that.
Well,
But you can't focus on that.
Well, the issue is too, is like some guys, as like one guy I know right now, he's suffering from EDD, or erectile dysfunction. So ED. I was like EDD. That's a department for everybody. Anyway, but erectile dysfunction. So his self-esteem is already hurting. Anyway. So now he's thinking about all the things that she probably could do with somebody else that he can't do with her, because he doesn't want to have to go get pills. He doesn't want to have to go do these things because he feels like he's less of a man. But the same thing happens with women when they can't have vaginal intercourse because they can't they can't support it because of fluid or whatever. So so this happens on both sides. It's just a human thing. It's not just a guy and girl. It's not just a guy thing or a girl thing. But the but it is something that, when it comes down to it, like with the numbers thing, that varies, to be quite honest. Like a lot of girls, that number is always higher depending on their number. Guys tend to have a standard number that they apply to women, but they don't apply a number to themselves at all. there is a kind of a box guys use when it comes down to the kind of girls that they like. If this girl has been it's not hard to find people that you feel like, I'm not going to take her home anyway, to my parents, but I will take her home. So, and these girls, so guys will pronounce to the girl, well, you're never going to get married. I had a friend who his thing he would tell girls after he slept with them is, you're better than this. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing stuff like this. But, and you're great, but you shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. And if you're still doing this next week, of course I'm going to come back. I'm going to hit again, but, it's just, but we're not going to be together. It's not a relationship. And and then my thought is, with his breath, how'd she even? Anyway. But this was kind of the, this was kind of the mentality. And then yet there are a lot of women out there who are like, well, if I do this enough, and we've had one person writing, if I do this enough, they will like me, and if I do this enough, I'll find the right one. I'll catch them this way. And then
nope.
One person's asking right now, have you heard about people who palm the condom? Recently, I heard that story. I recently heard a story of a friend of mine who had that happen. Do you know what that is, Jules?
What, the condom?
Palming it. Like, basically, what will happen is the guy will put a condom on, and as he's placing himself inside the woman, he will palm the condom. He'll take it off and go in raw, because she has no idea that it's not on.
Why?
Because he can lock her down if he gets her pregnant.
Oh.
And the thing is, it's too late. Once it happens, it happens. So it's too late. And there was a group of people who were doing this to a lot of high school girls, who were basically just saying, hey, you let me hit, so you get the benefits of that. So
now you have to pay child support.
Well, the guys are like, whatever. They're like whatever, because but a lot of times too, like what's happening in some situations is girls are poking holes in them. so that they
Yeah.
can get pregnant. So it's just a lot of crazy. But yes, there is kind of a standard number that guys will use from time to time to determine whether a girl is worth keeping or whether she's just worth sleeping with or whether whatever. But that's based on the kind of guys that guy hangs out with, and there's usually very few exceptions to it unless he's finally found somebody who's grabbed his heart, not just his attention visually. But it takes a minute. But yeah, there is a number. No, I'm not giving you that number because I'm not going to help somebody feel bad about themselves. And so yeah, I'm still keeping it 100 because that's just not me. So, so the as for the now, I do know. I personally know a person who used to do porn and was a stripper and did a lot of different things, um, and I know her number. I honestly do. And when she found and she does now, I have to admit it is hard for her to find somebody who's going to see her as more than what she used to do for a living, right? And that is a challenge because it's not so much that people have a hard time with her as a person so much as the idea that there's always, because of with the internet, it's always something that's going to be out there whether she wants it out there or not. One of the things that we did as a company a long time ago, or one of my companies did, is we bought the rights to her stuff and then made it where nobody could air it ever again. And so and because we bought the rights and because of a couple other legal things, then her stuff has never been aired again. So she ended up in a position that a lot of people today will not end up in because we had an incredible lawyer, and that cost me a lot of money. Anyway, but she's better for it, so what have you. And last I heard, she was in a pretty decent relationship, so I hope that works out for her. But she had a hard time with her past catching up to her and people looking at her as more because it wasn't just the guys, it was the girls making her feel like she'll never be better because of what she used to be. And so when I talked to her, she said that talking to the girls hurt her more and made her want to just go back to that life because they basically stole her. Her hope that somebody would see more than what she used to do. And she said because guys were actually more encouraging about having a better life and all that than the girls were. It just happens like that sometimes. So just be careful who you talk to and who you hang out with, especially when you're trying to do a new thing. Don't hang out with the old people who want to keep talking to you about the old thing. And then, so one of the questions that just came in, that came in while you were talking, Jules, was is do you guys ever or have you ever had anybody from your sexual past come into the public space with your history? Do you think that something like that would ever happen? And what would you do if something like that did happen? How would you respond? And is there a way to keep that kind of stuff from happening? Well, no.
Yeah, people are gonna say whatever they want to say.
Yeah, I mean, so well,
regardless of whether or not it's true.
Right.
People say a lot of crap.
Well, I was gonna say we haven't had people come at us that way. We haven't had people come at us that way where they would come out and say I was with so and so, I was with this person, and not no. Well, see, this is the thing about me and Jules being partnered, though, is the way our industry works, right? Is if a guy was with several girls before in the industry, it's considered like, oh, he's looking for love or blah blah. There are girls right now in the industry who have been with less people than some of the new guys that are coming to the industry, and these girls are being there's industry talk about these girls, and there's one girl who was recently up for a very big movie part, and they talk, and because of the rumors going on around her, and she's really talented. She had a little hard time. She was very popular, and everybody knows who she is. But the thing is, they pulled the movie role from her because of the things that one of the exes came out and talked about. Right, and so they pulled it from her because they said that she would not be able to reflect the wholesome image that she would have to reflect for this film, even though she had the part before. So they pulled it from her. And so what happens, what we find happens in the industry is a lot of times people will wait and they will attack either when they want to break up your current relationship or they want to
Further theirs.
yeah, yeah, further their further their career,
Hmm.
or they will try to blackmail you into paying them a piece of whatever you're working for, because lately people are just dirty. I mean, I'm just being honest, because I had to help another manager out recently with this something like this. But okay, I'll tell you about the situation I worked on. So the situation I worked on was there was a young lady. She's music and she's also an actress, and she is beautiful, beautiful girl. Okay, but she's young and she has a sexual history. I mean, she's not like a teenager. But the thing was, um, some of her exes, as she started getting deals offered to her, some of her exes, well, different people at times came up and basically said, I was with her and these are the things that we did and she likes it like this and this is how she likes to, and then she sounds like this because he had a recording of her and this, that, I mean, just a
Oh my
bunch of
God.
crazy, I mean, this dude, right? Because, well, there's more than one dude, but so people started attacking the guys that she had been with, and it wasn't like a big group of guys, but it was 2 or 3 guys who had come out of the woodwork saying I was with her and she likes and they were going through all of the things that she likes, and so the next guy, so one guy was trying to give tips about next, if you ever hook up with this girl, this is what she likes and this is how she gets down and she's willing to do, and it was really, really bad, right? Because now the label that she was getting assigned to is saying, well, the only way we can release her is if we make her a vixen, a really sexy blah blah, which is not the type of work she was trying to do, right? But now because this stuff came out, they want to basically turn her into old Britney, you
Mm.
know, and except with little Christina Aguilera raunchy on top, right? And so they start sending her to dance. So they changed a lot of her routines to make them move more raunchy, make her more clubby, make her stuff like that. And she would go to the studio because of her deal. She had to fulfill her contract. She just cried a lot because she still has to put out a project,
Hmm.
and the project has changed based on somebody coming out of the woodwork. So I helped her manager understand how to get the label back on track. One, and two, how to deal with anybody who wants to come out and put information out about his artist. But anybody who's ever been signed to me knows that I'm very thorough when it comes down to protecting my artists, because if something's going to come out, they're going to put it out. They're going to talk about it, not whoever else was in it. And so that's just how it gets down. But have we received threats of people trying to blackmail intermix and stuff like that? Not for sexual stuff, but people do try doing stupid stuff, and people have tried to copy us and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, we get our fair share of crazy, but that's how you've made it. So yeah, and then we got one more question. So let's go ahead and knock that out as soon as I find it. Meanwhile, while I'm finding this question for Jules. Okay, Tony said, go ahead and say my name. Tony said, Tony wants to know, okay, Tony is a new recording artist, and he is trying to make a name for himself in the industry today. What would be some of the things that he would recommend? Good God. And and he wants to know, what are some of the if you had to give one piece of advice about today's music industry, what would it be, and how expensive would we say the industry is today versus 3 years ago?
How expensive?
How expensive? I guess he's talking studio time or something.
Uh,
Okay, so um,
well, for one, stay true to yourself. Don't try to mimic anybody else. Oh, they worked with that, so it must work for me. Not necessarily.
yeah,
If you make your music, you do you, and be true to who you are as an artist, and don't try to whatever anybody tells you. Oh, you need to be more like this. Oh, you need to do more of these songs. Da 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 da. Whatever. They don't know. You do what you want to do. You put out what you feel true to that's like your calling, and it might take a while for it to hit, or it might be an instant. But people like Alicia Keys or Adele, it took them years before they even had a hit. Um, Not because they didn't have hits before or they weren't good songs before, but people just took that long for to really fully appreciate. So it could be something like that, or it could be an instantaneous hit. You just never know. But regardless of that, be true to who you are as an artist. That's something that I would definitely recommend. Um, and as far as prices go, you want to answer that, Dee?
Yeah, that's my area. So um, the industry, well, now everybody's got a home studio. So now it really comes down to the quality of what they put out. And the prices have definitely come down. But if you're talking about going to a studio that normally label signed artists are going to, then those prices, they've come down a bit, but they're not like, so you might be looking at a day in the studio. That's like a 8 to 10 hour day. But you might be looking at, or a weekend, let's say a weekend in the studio, about $2,000 for a weekend in the studio if you're talking those kind of studios where they have everything's in-house. You can do live band, you can do whatever you want. It's all right there. So you have team producers, engineers, all that kind of stuff. That's about $2,000 for a weekend, sometimes 4, depending. But other than that, if you're like most of the artists that you hear now on the radio, a lot of them put their own stuff together and they get out on their own. So a lot of them that you hear, you may think they have a label deal, or you might see a label on their project, but they're not really signed to those labels for more than distribution. The label might be distributing their stuff, but they probably didn't record with that label. So they had to pay for all that stuff on their own, and then even their music videos they're paying for on their own through sponsors or things like that. So, or they're shooting YouTube videos and releasing them as actual videos. So the industry has changed a lot, and so it's good to study up on what's going on in the industry and how and where in the industry you want to fit. That would be the best advice for me, is to study it up and figure out where you want to fit or what road you want to create in it. And then I'm sending the last question over now to Jules from our Yahoo group.
Okay. Sorry, it's just. If you two were the last 2 people on Earth, Jules, how long do you think it would take you to come around to the idea of reproducing with Simply D? Other than thinking of him like a brother and all that other stuff you tend to say, what would the real reason be for not seeing him as a possible sex partner? Your thoughts then. Just your female side. Yeah, because if my male side was talking, that's there's no reproducing there. I don't know, because it hasn't happened. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. That it would be even a possibility. So, my answer is I have no clue. That's weird, because yeah, I mean, you say other than thinking of him like a brother, but I can't not think of him like a brother because he is. So like it's almost the same thing as if you're asking me to sleep with my real brother. That's disgusting to me. It's like incest. So that's basically how it is in my head, and I can't go there. That's just weird.
That was a commercial that used to do that. Don't go there. But
no.
That's funny. I see. This is why I usually screen these things.
Yeah.
But this was interesting. It was a very interesting experience, and I have to say, one thing about our Yahoo group, like I said before, is they ask questions that make your brain say, "Are they talking to me?" So yeah. So wow, stuck on Earth with Jules. I don't think there'd be enough. I'd be the most patient person on Earth, literally. Literally the most patient person on Earth. All right.
So yeah, that was our show.
Hold on 1 second. I'm listening to some. That was funny though. Okay, so I I hope I say your name right. Shamina. I've never heard that before, but Shamina is she's asking. Um, she said, going back to the earlier question about multiple sex partners and things of that nature, how do you go about changing the way you operate when it comes down to not being with people? Okay, not, I'm like, wait, what? Not being with people when you're normally with people, not because it's exciting or fun or even feeling good, but because it's comforting. How do you get rid of that wanting? How do you get rid of that urge to move in that direction because at least it's somebody? Um, okay, so Shamina, I'm trying to figure out how to answer this question because I was also looking at something else that somebody put up during this portion when Jules was talking a while ago.
Well, for me, my answer
Yeah,
would be
go
you
ahead.
need to work on your relationship with yourself first. You need to be okay being alone. Not to say that you're gonna be alone for the rest of your life. That's not what I'm saying. But you know how sometimes, um, like when I was single for a really long time, not necessarily because I wanted to, but because I couldn't find anybody that I was interested in that also liked me back. Um, uh,
Why
it
that
was
sounds
very
so
lonely.
sad?
I mean, I know it's so sad, but it was a very lonely time. But I had to, I told myself I would never settle for something, that wasn't, and not to say that uh, I always kept my word, but that's something that I always told myself is that I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to settle. There are times when I had gotten into a relationship, a very short relationship that at one point I thought maybe, and then it turned out no, big no with a capital N-O. Um, but you know, and then there was like a span of like 2, 3 years when I really started to work on myself and really ask questions like, why do I constantly need to A, B, or C? Why do I feel this way? Why do I do this? Why do I think this? And why am I acting this way? Or why do I feel this? You have to ask these deep questions. And so if you need help, there's counselors and there's different groups that will help you. But it's something that's very necessary. Um, like you can't stay it, you know, you have to be okay with you. You have to be understanding of why you do certain things and make sense of that. You have to love yourself. That's the most important thing, so that you don't seek love from somewhere else that because you know what I mean, like that are not necessarily. Hold on, I'm keep getting. How do you start learning about yourself? Um, I actually got help because it was something sometimes you don't even know. You know what I mean? You don't even know what questions to ask. You don't know how to decipher certain things. You don't know what path you're supposed to go in the sequences of questions. You do need help, and that's what a lot of therapists are for. That's what life coaches are for. That's what counselors are for. There are the different group, you know, what is it? What do you call them? The
Oh, group
sessions,
sessions.
group
Yeah,
sessions. Thank you.
group sessions.
That also help as you talk about certain things. A lot of these things are stuff that has happened in your past that has really twisted or warped or changed the way you think about certain things, helped you not feel certain things, changed your view on many things that you may have not done in the past. Like it's your sensory things are all different. Your walls are blocked up. So many things are cut off from feeling certain things. You need to unleash all those. Sometimes it's actually pretty scary, and it's a hard road. I'm not gonna say it's easy. I'm not gonna say it's overnight. It definitely takes a while. Um, I I for me when I started to ask the questions, I actually didn't even know how until I actually had a friend who was very self aware. She did a lot of these things herself, like asking the questions, really learning about I think she had help too in her past, and so she helped me ask certain things. And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like very frustrated at her at certain times. Like, "Why do you ask that? What do you mean by that?" Blah blah blah. Because I got very defensive because it was a place that I was not comfortable with at the time, of delving or dishing out. Um, because it was something that I had locked up, for so long, not talking about it, not trying to feel it. I pretended it didn't exist, I tucked it away. All these things never go away. Just FYI. It never goes away. You think you hid it so well that it's not there anymore, but it'll come up and manifest itself in other ways. You have to deal with them. Otherwise, you won't be able to move past it and move on in a healthy way in the rest of your life. So, because it's going to eventually come up. So for me, I didn't want, these repetitive bad relationship that I was going into that didn't treat me right, that ended up always being tumultuous or not long lasting, not a loving, fulfilling relationship that I had always talked about that I wanted. It wasn't that. So why am I constantly, either single, not meeting the guys I want to meet, or B, in a bad relationship that I don't want to be in? Why is it always happening? I kept asking myself these questions. Her helping me going into not just relationship stuff, but like my personal history, with my parents, with how I felt about certain things, with what happened with this person, that person, really going in, it's literally like a history lesson of my life. And if it were to just be up to me to ask these questions to myself, I don't think I would have done it. So I definitely needed the help, and I think it's important so that you have a guidance, somebody who knows what questions to ask in what sequence, in what order, and where to go, and if to go deeper in that session or not. You know what I mean? Because there's a limit to how much you can do in one day. So yeah,
That's true.
I think you need to definitely seek some help. And that's not a negative thing at all. I think it's very healthy. Um, Everybody needs to do something along this line of really so that they know who they are, what makes them up, why they do certain things, the patterns of certain things that they do, how they think, how they react, um, so that if it's a negative thing, if these sequences turn into a negative outcome, that you stop it before it happens. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, look for different groups or therapists or counselors around you in your area. Some of them are government funded. Some of them are sometimes it could be through work. It could be through church. You ask around, and I think it's something that will be very beneficial for you, for yourself, not just for your relationship, but for yourself. And I think that's where it all starts is, do you know your value? Do you know how much you're worth? Do you know how precious you are? Do how valuable you are as a woman, as a person, as a human being, as a child of God? Do you know all these things? At that point, if you love yourself, you would not just give your precious body to just anybody who doesn't deserve it. You wouldn't. And that's where it stops. And before you go into bed with anybody else, at this point on, you stop it all. If you're feeling lonely, whatever, call up a girlfriend, call up somebody, like a chat buddy, whatever, but do not go. That habit just ends. You know, just it's like a bad cold turkey, just boom. And really start to work on yourself. Make this decision today. I'm gonna work on me. I'm gonna love me. I'm gonna find out, have a relationship with me, and be okay with me, and love me as much as I can. And then at that point, because if you don't love yourself, you won't be able to love anybody else. You won't allow anybody else to love you either, the way you deserve. So that's where it all starts, is with you. So yeah.
Okay. Oh man. Okay, so Shamina, um, you have a lot that you're trying to say, and it's all in my ears, but I'm trying to get it so that you get an understanding of where the strength to the strength to move forward when things seem very difficult, it doesn't come from you just saying I'm going to do it and it's going to happen automatically. Okay, there are a lot of questions that you're asking that a um, this forum was probably not the best for some of the things you're asking about. Not because we won't talk about them, but because um, not everybody in this space is going to necessarily be understanding of where you are right now. Okay, that's and it's really important to understand that when you talk about things that are this personal to you, you want to be in a place where you can be heard and respected. And not everybody's at that place. I'm not saying that, and most of our viewers actually are, good. They understand what we do and who we are and how important these kinds of discussions are. But and actually, you know what? No, we can, because I made this an 18 and over show because I just didn't know what questions were coming out, so it had to be safe. So okay, so one of the questions you sent over was, what do you replace it with? And it's true. When you give up a behavior, you do have to replace the behavior. You asked, well, you want to know first off, oh man, what order did it come in? Like, you want to know first off about how to get rid of that one night stand behavior. Okay. I have friends who have gone through that process, and it is a process, because once you do something, if you don't feel so bad about it afterwards because you're like, oh well, it happened, whatever, right, then it's not unlikely that it will happen again because you didn't attribute the right value to the situation. And what you're describing is basically this has happened more than once. So so that does become a behavior because you're looking for someone who's going to be there. You're looking for that physical connection. So what do you replace it with? Well, you don't want to replace it. Yeah. You want to replace it with God, but you also, you want to replace it with God. That's real. But because you're looking for a physical representation of how to replace it, because we don't all start with understanding that. We don't all start with the understanding of who Jesus is. Because most people, let's be real, most people who first had to get over something or had to move away from something, the church was not their first direction. Matter of fact, they ran as hard as they could the opposite direction because they didn't want to hear it from the church. Okay, so let's talk to what you really are asking. And if with the options you gave, which was because you don't want to go into drinking, you don't want to go into gambling, you don't want anything that's going to be another negative behavior. You asked, how do we feel about substituting being with men with masturbation? It's not, depending on why, that may be equally as damaging to you as as being with the men, because because sometimes that can amplify loneliness. Because, as you said, it's not the physical, because you're looking for the connection with somebody, and that can actually work counterproductive to the thing that you're trying to obtain, which is being near somebody. So one of the first things I would say that you may want to replace it with is activity that involves being in group settings that you can get involved with. And what I would honestly recommend is female activities, things that women get together and do to encourage each other and to keep each other moving forward, because you don't want to go jump into a group of men right away. That I don't know if that's really going to be something that's going to keep you walking in the way you want to go. And then you had a statement about not being as strong as Jules. Well, to be quite honest, Jules wasn't as strong as Jules until Jules got somebody to talk to. You never know how strong you are until you overcome a thing. Not because you're going through a thing, but it's because you're overcoming that thing that you realize how strong you are. And very few people go out and say, you know what, I'm gonna, this thing that I've been shoving down and doing for so long, I'm getting over it today. Very few people do that. Most of the time they run, they fight, they say I don't have a problem, and they create walls to protect themselves from the thing that they know is there or that they're discovering is there. But you really want to do something that's going to cause you to be able to reach outside of yourself so that you can learn more about who you are. Doing a lot of deep thinking when you're dealing with loneliness and learning how to love yourself can spark negative thoughts. So what I would suggest and what we suggest is join a group that's going to that you with an activity that you love. Okay, take that time and dedicate that time instead of fulfilling your need for companionship in a sexual way, fulfill that with a way that's going to not only help others, but it's ultimately going to end up helping yourself. Then, like Joel said, getting help, like going to a counselor or something like that, it's a very positive thing. It's a very good thing, and that will really help. In that way, they help you clarify what's really happening, with you, what's going on emotionally, and what's the stem of that thing. Also, if you have a friend that you can count on who will walk this journey with you, then you don't have to worry about whether Jules has somebody go with her or whatever. The thing is, what do you need? Because if you keep comparing yourself to Jules and how she did, then what will end up happening is you'll always keep telling yourself that you can't. And so you need to know what you need to make it through. And if you feel like right now you're in a very weak place, then get a friend that doesn't have those behaviors you're trying to escape. That's very important, and ask them to be your buddy as you walk this road, because we all have had to have a buddy somewhere along the line before, and they may even be willing to go to your sessions with you and stuff like that until you feel strong enough to go on your own. But that's honestly what that'd be my biggest recommendation, because with what you're writing, I would say that you just need somebody who's gonna walk with you for a little while. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, and if you had the bravery to ask us in this setting, then I think that if you have a friend that can walk with you, then ask your friend if they hold themselves in the way that you want to one day be, and then if you can't find that person, then reach out to us, and we will help you find a situation that's going to be best for your situation and for what you're trying to accomplish. Because ultimately, that is the mission of INNERMIX. So good luck, and we look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to hearing a progress report on how well you're doing. Okay, so Shamina, thank you very much. Everybody, this was a very interesting show. And already you guys are talking about you can't wait till the next time we do this kind of show because you have questions lined up. I'm honestly a little afraid of what's going to come up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for, and this is a big one, a lot of you, except for something else I read that almost made me mad for a hot second, but I let that go. But thank you for actually saying you appreciate, because we got a lot of, I appreciate you guys really just letting us in more than you guys normally do. I didn't know that we didn't let y'all in.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about us so much as the situations. We talk about stories of things that have happened in our lives, but we don't necessarily say, this is how I feel about this.
That's what we do all the time. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I think to us, because we're used to listening to us, we're like, that's why she feel that way. But really, you guys are right in the sense that we tend to tell you our stories and tell you how we felt in the middle of that, but we don't really necessarily, like one person earlier said, well, you said what Jules today versus Jules 5 years ago. They want to know what Jules 5 years ago would have said about that same question. And I'm like, and I said, okay, I can see now because you guys are getting this version of us. And the real of it is, the 100 part of it is, this is us. Now, if you were asking us questions that dealt with how we used to think and how we got from there to here, yeah, there's a road. There's a story. There's several stories that help out with that. If you want to know how I used to think about some of these questions that you guys asked and how I think about them now is what you heard, because that's today. That's real for us today. But how I used to think about some of these things are not quite like how I think about them today. But experience, life, and maturity will, often affect you eventually, hopefully. I had to throw that in there because you just never know sometimes. But anyway, you guys, look forward to doing this. We might do this again somewhere in the next couple of weeks. Other than that, you guys have a good night. You can find us on Twitter You know, we're gonna always get in trouble for this. You can find us on Twitter at INNERMIX_show. You can find us on Facebook,
Intermix.
INNERMIX. You can find us here at Plus INNERMIX Show on Google Plus,
And on Instagram, Intermix360.
there you go. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you
next week.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.